What are the dynamics of art and such phenomena?
See, art is a universal language. And there is a term called improjection. That is, what we have within, we see outside. They improject their emotion. What they see is their own story. Because it's not asking you to see the art specifically only. So everyone connects with it. So I wouldn't deny that if you go into the depths of the idea of a banana with a duct tape, it could have been a path-breaking idea. I bought some part of dry wood from somewhere and put in front and put bloodstains on it and called it Murder in the Name of Civilization. I wanted to create installations. So I didn't want to be very narcissistic with my art that only I can understand. Most of the life artist is trying to survive, trying to keep his head above the water. You know, in case of surviving this world in economic space and all that.
Right, so hi everyone, this is Nitish Jain on the Nitish Jain Show, and we have an artist with us, an artist from Mumbai, Kisalay Vora. He's a mixed medium artist and has been exploring his way of expression on different mediums. That's what mixed medium supposedly is. We'll get to know more about such technicalities, and not just technicalities, his mindset, his art perspective, and a lot more from him right now. So I hope you stay tuned and you love this conversation. So welcome to the show, Kisalay. How are you?
Thank you, Nish. It's such a pleasure. Looking forward. I'm extremely excited, I must tell you. And this one behind me is so special. I just took a picture and sent it to my wife.
That's
Yeah. So congratulations to both of us. And I'm so overjoyed to be here on this show. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Honestly, you know what? Like whenever, like most of the times when I've met an artist, it's just such a free feeling. I don't know why I feel that, but even when I met you right now, I mean, looking at you, I just feel in a way liberated. In a way, I don't know how. So, and I was really intrigued by your hairstyle also, and I सोच रहा था कि यार artists हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ अलग होता है. What's about it? What's the story of your hairstyle? I mean, lambe baal.
So there are two stories that I can revisit. Obviously, before the show, we discussed this before we start. So then my mind started jogging, and I realized there are two places that I come from. One is obviously I have very spiky hair, and I am from commercial art, advertising, JJ School of Art. And in our time, there was no computer. So even the finest writing to create ad, we used to do it with 0 and 00 number brush. And घर में तो पंखा था. So that used to be, the hair would keep fluttering here, and that used to be very annoying experience. So I had to hold my hair like that and paint. And once I saw someone in the college with all tied up hair, I said, yeah, theek hai. Technically this looks like a good idea. And that triggered the idea of growing hair. That one part of the story. Other part of the story is that I grew up with my father as a great narrator of Indian history, mythology, and those characters were very impressive for me. And they all had long hair. You know, Lord Shivji had long hair, Ram had long hair, Krishna had long hair, and even some of the other characters who were not like so godly had long hair. And so they were the characters that always kind of played. So somewhere I think subliminally, subconsciously, that also played a role in my long hair. Yeah.
Well, by that artists, they can sustain long hair, as in their normal lives. जैसे अगर आप देखो कि if you take a pool of businessmen, if you take a pool of artists, more often than not, you would find one or the other element. Okay, long hair could be one of those elements. One or the other elements in artists which they can sustain in their life. But businessmen all, जैसे like I am also in a manufacturing business. I keep my head to a certain, like in a certain style and all. So ऐसा क्यों कि आर्टिस्ट के लिए हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ अतरंगी एक एलिमेंट होता है आर्टिस्ट
यार एक्चुअली हमारा जो एम है ना वो कैनवस है, वो पेंटिंग है, वो स्कल्पचर है. हमारा जो एम है, आपका एज ए बिजनेसमैन जो एम है वो किसी को मिलना है. एंड वो मिलने के बाद जो इंटरेक्शन होता है वो इंटरेक्शन विल रिजल्ट इनटू व्हाटएवर यू वांट इट टू बी. लेकिन हमारा एंड रिजल्ट में कोई नहीं है. सामने स्कल्पचर है, मिट्टी है, पेंट है, कैनवस है, स्टूडियो है. मनी एंड सक्सेस इज अ बाय प्रोडक्ट ऑफ द एंटायर सिचुएशन. तो कहीं वो फेयर इंट्रोड्यूस नहीं होता है, या तो कहीं दैट केयर इंट्रोड्यूस नहीं होती कि भाई हम ऐसा करेंगे तो हमारे एंड रिजल्ट में कुछ चेंज आएगा. सो इसलिए देन इट गेट्स इनटू हमारी दुनकी में कर दिया तो कर दिया ऐसा.
I guess that's why I feel liberated around artists, you know. Because कहीं ना कहीं ये जो free thinking mindset है कि यार मेरे को फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा किसी और से, वो you know somewhere down the line in you know most often than not people are bugged down by their fears to not do things rather than do stuff. But artists के लिए I guess it's more of expression and किसी और से फर्क नहीं पड़ता मेरे को आर्ट से. हाँ, is it so? है ना?
Yeah, true. NLP में ना neuro linguistic programming, there's a term called external frame of reference.
Okay.
So we all have this. छोटे बाल वाले reliable होते हैं, लंबे बाल, you know, this whole sense of suit is a sense of reliability, and long hair and torn clothes are not sense of reliability. These are all external frame of references. लड़की के लंबे बाल होते हैं, लड़के के short बाल होते हैं. These are all external frame of references, and we internalize it so much as if we somewhere start believing in it, that as if this is my personal opinion on the world. So that's called, external frame of reference. That the question to be asked that लड़के के छोटे बाल होते हैं और लड़की के लंबे होने चाहिए, लड़के के छोटे होने चाहिए. The question one can ask is, who said so? You know, where did it come from? तो ये जो है, so that's obviously. और दूसरा कि हमारे we just have to outdo ourselves all the time. So our general temperament is to outdo. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? How do I outdo myself? Why my next canvas has to be better? Why my next visual or a story that I'm saying has to be more potent, more powerful, more impactful? Do I feel for it? So it's all about outdoing. In that case, obviously the rebel comes in. Obviously the question comes in that why do I have to be in certain manner? And these questions are not obvious. They don't come very conscious. But the game is on in subconscious. Continuous game is on, subconscious. It's just that the play is continuously on. The germination is always on. It's always ongoing. So I guess it keeps popping out like subconscious leaks. Through hair, through mannerism, through many other aspects of life. Yeah.
So ये चीज कहीं ना कहीं
माफ कर दो यार.
माफ तो इससे तो काफी कुछ सीखने को बात है. Actually, you know, the way you can actually not care much about the world and truly do what you want to do is something really interesting. And I guess that's what reflects in the art also, right? I mean, what do you think is art, and what do you think is an artist?
Art is how you see things. Art is how I see things, is art. How I perceive things is art. How I perceive and how I simultaneously express what I perceived is art. But how I draw, how I sculpt is craft, is neuromuscular coordination. It's like physiotherapy. When I start doing better practice, I'll get better and better. More frequently I practice, I'll get better and better. Technique, texture, paint, layers, these are all matter of practice. They're not a matter of art. Art is how I see and how I narrate. That's art.
Interesting.
So if I have to, I don't have to use paint to be an artist. And as you see now, these days, the lines between art and many other disciplines are diminishing because people want to explore new ways to express what they see and how they see the world. And that's how art is very open-minded and with open arms. It accepts all ways and means, and in a drashta bhav, as my very close friend Zen Vartan says, drashta bhav. And art neutrally accepts everything and says, bring it on. Okay, this is your expression, accepted. There are no tags to it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But then, so like, how does art gain its value? They say there was this banana art ka kuch sculpture where there was a banana piece, you know, and it was actual real banana जो सड़ भी सकता है, ठीक है. वो किसी ने डक टेप से कोई आर्ट म्यूजियम में रख दिया, and it was, you know, sold in hundreds and thousands of dollars. अगर समझ लीजिए मैं एक स्ट्रोक करके कोई आर्ट एग्जीबिशन में कोई पेंटिंग में स्ट्रोक करके रख दूं और उसके पीछे एक नरेटिव डाल दूं, खुद का मस्त पोर्ट्रेट डाल दूं, डू यू थिंक इट वुड गेन वैल्यू देन ऑल्सो?
ये जो जब आर्टिस्ट ने एक आर्ट पीस खत्म किया, वहाँ उसकी कहानी, उसका जो एज एन आर्टिस्ट वहाँ ख़त्म हो गई. उसके बाद वो कितने में बिकता है, वो ज़्यादा बाइसिकल है या वेजिटेबल्स है या एनी अदर लग्जरी ब्रांड हो या स्टॉक मार्केट हो, दैट गेम इज टेकन ओवर बाय एन another set of artists, another creative people who are creative with money, who are creative with how to present something. So it starts from there. So once it's there, so वो जो art का बिकना है और art का जो economic price है, I'm not talking the value, the price, उसको और art को directly connect करना for a viewer or for people who are not into the art world, they generally do see it like ये इतना महंगा क्यों बिकता है और ये इतना महंगा क्यों नहीं बिकता है. तो वो जहाँ आर्टिस्ट ने काम ख़त्म किया ना, वहाँ से उसका बेचना और खरीदना, वो it gets into a parallel world which is nothing or very less to do with the piece of art.
Okay.
So it could be anything. It could be words, it could be sound, it could be sand, it could be ash, it could be stone, it could be carbon, it could be technology. It's how the narrations are created around it.
And I guess that's what also occurred. Ki art is from the eyes of the viewer. I guess that's who, I guess painting is not just, the artist. Also it goes on in the mind of the viewer, is it?
Yes, absolutely. It goes in the mind of the viewer, but when price, I'm saying specifically, जब art पे लगाते हैं ना, तो उसके पीछे बहुत सारे factors रहते हैं. एक बात, having said so, I wouldn't deny that if you go into the depths of the idea of a banana with a duct tape, it could have been a path-breaking idea. And the artist, there is so much that artist goes through so many fear, triumph, worry, insecurity, fear. He has to earn money, he has to live. And all that is bogging down for an artist. Most of the life, artist is trying to survive, trying to keep his head above the water. In case of surviving this world in economic space and all that. So ये वक्त में है ना, कुछ क्रिएटिव करना, कुछ पाथ ब्रेकिंग करना, कुछ गट्सी करना, कुछ ऐसे जो लोग देख के बोलेंगे व्हाट इज दिस इज रबिश, ऐसे कुछ करना, उसके लिए जो स्ट्रेंथ चाहिए ना, वो खुद ही अपने आप में एक बड़ी बात होती है. खुद ही अपने आप में एक बड़ी बात होती है. उसके बाद अगर वो इवेल्युएट होगा या नहीं होगा, अप्रिशिएट होगा या नहीं होगा, वो जो सिचुएशन है ना, वो तो उसके बाद की बात है. So this is how it goes. Like Van Gogh didn't sell a single painting in his life.
Yeah, but
Vincent Van Gogh.
Okay.
He didn't sell a single painting in his life.
Okay. What's the story?
Vincent Van Gogh is an artist who, there are so many stories. I mean, the world knows about it. And his first painting was sold sunflowers for some insane amount of money in an auction, but he killed himself. His brother used to support him. And now buying Van Gogh is like buying few building nations can buy it. It's that expensive, but he couldn't sell. So it's all about the outstanding work, how it is appreciated, and it may not be appreciated at all. Then artist is facing the music of going home, listening to this is rubbish, this is absolutely absurd, this is theatrics, this is not art, this is drama, anything he has to hear. And he's a human being or she is a human being, and she has to go home and withstand those blows on his or her chest, and going home with that kind of feeling is not always, we are not strong enough to take it. Having said so, to do banana and duct tape, and we all have to kind of read a lot on it to come up with the idea that what he was trying to share. What was he trying to say? Yeah. Why was that so outstanding? What happened there? So that's it. So there was an artist who had used rotten apple. There was an artist, Marshall Duchamp. He had put a potty, a commode in a museum, in a gallery as a showpiece. It's called found object. It's been happening for a while. They've been doing outstanding work. They've been putting things across to the world to change the perspective, as I started telling you, that how they see things is art.
No, I understand.
How they paint is craft.
Yeah. I'm understanding, like I'm trying to understand what you say, but when you look at it from a perspective of a budding artist, say, they're exposed to this, oh, itna bada artist hai, itna bada artist hai, उसने ऐसा कर लिया, itna painting बिक गया. So somewhere down the line, I guess the art might get lost in that conversation, and they might think कि हम बड़ा artist कैसे बने. So what do you have to say for someone who might have this thought process?
प्रियंका चोपड़ा का एक मैं इंटरव्यू देख रहा था बहुत साल पहले, एंड शी had said something very beautiful. प्रियंका जी और the legendary actress, and she'd say that being great at what she does took precedence over being rich and famous in the industry, and that should be the goal of an artist, being great at what they do. And when an artist has to be great, there are multiple areas one can be great with: great craftsmanship, great narration, okay, or great thinking, all that. And some artists want to be great at everything. Yeah. They want to have the most finest product coming out, which is with greatest finish, with greatest stories, with the greatest narration, with the greatest path-breaking ideas, and put together. So it's a personal choice, but one has to be outstanding and unparalleled in what they do. And that generally is the feather in artist's cap. And that is not... so artist has to be his personal curator or her personal curator. That have I reached there? And that's where there are so many layers that artist has to fight through. Because there are external pressure of being famous is being great. No, being famous is not necessarily great. Okay. So that's the idea. So once, now the art world is such that if someone is really great, it means 360-degree great in the art, with narration, with the idea, what they bring on table, the uniqueness of it, the newness of it, the craft part of it, then it's difficult for an artist to not do well.
I understand. Yeah. But, I would love to know from you, because, so like I was there at your art show at the Tao Art Gallery. It was a brilliant art show. I will definitely also show the glimpses of that. And it had some brilliant art pieces of mixed medium. I saw that. And I was thinking, oh, wow, such glorious art show. But, your journey is only something which you know of. Yeah. So, आपके journey में जब आपका mindset वो था, you might be, might have gone through this journey कि यार, okay, कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, या फिर, as you said, keeping your head above the water वाला फिर. Yeah. So, tell me something about that part of your life.
Interesting you asked that, because there is in that series, in my show, there was a series called My Cortisol Stereo Endorphins. And that series is in my studio. One of my subordinate had kept a pile of works in one of the corner, and I was in introspective mode through that phase, and I was sitting in another corner on the floor and just looking at it. And coincidentally, those 3 or 4 works, one work is generally 1.5 inch thick, with its wooden stretcher behind and all that, canvas and everything. So 3 or 4 works were there, and they were piled, but they were partially visible. And coincidentally, those works which were put together were almost 15, 16, probably 20 years of work put together. One was the oldest, one was somewhere in the middle, and one was the latest that I was working on. And I saw that, and I said, oh my God, 15, 20 years in 5, 6 inches, 4 inches. That's it, Between those canvases was the space where there was my insecurity, financial trouble, my triumph, my fear, my self-doubt, my strength, my memory with people. Between those few mm, and all that put together, I could see that in 6 to 8 inches, Wow. That's how. So it was called My Cortisol Stereo Endorphins, in the sense that when that work comes to the gallery on a white wall, hangs there with cheese and wine around and people see and say, wow, that's amazing. And if I had to actually tell our friends here to track back and make the entire movie from that art to my first start and what happens in the studio and the chaos and the entire sense of being a maverick for an artist and no man's land and the expenditures and experiments and everything. God, I went back from those 3, 4, 5 and I was playing in between those spaces and I realized, my God, that's a lot. And that's a lot. There is no concept of secured economical space. There's no concept of, therefore, secured emotional space. And that's where we start from. And then we start becoming robust. And we kind of get a hunch. In all the language say, this shall pass too. And the rough time is going to pass. And, and we're going to come back. And and it passed. And
Right. So we were talking about this, in your journey, हमेशा तो ऐसा नहीं होगा कि एकदम से आपको एक, glorious art gallery में एक आपका खुद का exhibition हो. There were moments जब आपने भी कहीं ना कभी सोचा होगा, मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा है, क्या अभी कभी अपने से सोचा है कि बैकअप चाहिए या फिर कुछ और कर लेते हैं, आर्ट नहीं हो रहा है, उस टाइम पे आपका thought process क्या था?
My journey has been quite mad actually. It's quite crazy. It is, ये insecurity, fear, self-doubt, पैसे ना होना, going broke, फिर all of a sudden पैसे होना, all that, now when I look at that right now, I can tag that as, okay, I had financial issues. Okay, I did not have, this phase was great with money and rewarding, this was not. And then that phase I had problem. And this phase I was tirelessly trying, but not going anywhere. Now when I withdraw and look at it, I can see all that. But, जब वो था ना, तो it was like नशा. कुछ पता ही नहीं था, बस जा रहे थे, एक रफ्तार पकड़ के जा रहे थे. उसमें जो आता था वो आता था, bring it on, दोनों आप से. Will embrace जो भी आया, Sheena, sometime Sheena, my partner and my wife, and she, her favorite song is मैं फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया, मैं उम्र भर का साथ निभाता चला गया. She sings that. I'm not quite there. I'm enough fikra type person, but she had, that's her favorite song. And I realized that somewhere, I don't know if that's the right example. Actually, I'm revisiting the example. But yes, ऐसा कुछ था नहीं. There was a tireless journey. And exhaustion आता था तो exhaustion में पटक जाते थे. लेकिन ऐसे नहीं था कि हताशा नहीं थी कि भाई ये क्या हो रहा है लाइफ के साथ, कुछ बदल दें, कुछ कर दें, ऐसे नहीं था. It was almost, I was evolving continuously. I was going through metamorphosis continuously. I was going through changes continuously. And people could see me getting tired and people could comment on that and people could say, yaar, dark circle ho gaya, patla ho gaya, you're reducing, are you alright? And, and sometimes people say that you look happy and joyous and what's up and all that. But I didn't know all those changes were happening with me. I was so much into it. Having said so, my career has not been only art. Art as we know as mainstream art that is displayed in the gallery. So I started with advertising. So I came to Mumbai. We are like 5 sisters, 4 brothers. My father was an educationist. We have a school in our hometown which was founded by my grandfather. There's a road on my grandfather's name and there's a sculpture of my grandfather and like that. But financially, we knew anything? We knew zilch. We knew nothing. We knew education. We knew the name of the school and the baseline of the school is Gnanam Shaktir Shaktir Jnanam. From knowledge grows the power, from power again grows the knowledge, and so on and so forth. So we come from there. There is no concept of, absolutely none of us understood all that. We were teachers' kids and our parents were teacher. We knew house you buy to live in, that's it. You get salary to buy food. We had no idea of peripheral things about investment and all that. So I come from there and came down to, so obviously then my eldest brother and sister and they all then moved to Mumbai and one after the other, everyone had to be taken care of. And So they grew in a temperament where finances were very important. And me being the youngest in the family, I joined JJ School of Art. I joined Fine Art, actually, the foundation. That time we were after 10th standard. And I got scholarship. And I was one of the youngest students. You could join after college also, after doing your foundation. And a lot of students with us had already done diploma in fine art, or they had done 2 years of foundation in fine art and, studied and done 12th and then art and from Shanti Niketan. They all had joined in. I had joined directly after 10th. And I got scholarship, of course, and I did 2 years of fine art. After that, we had an option to switch either fine art, commercial art, or any other field. And so my brothers thought that I should choose commercial art. And for us, the entire family, whatever elders say, you know how the culture is, ऐसे कहते थे तभी जो बड़े कहे वो गीता के शब्द. So we had imbibed that, we were woven into that. तो मेरे लिए कुछ ऐसा टेस्ट या चॉइस नहीं थी. मुझे भी फियर था कि वो कहे वो ना करे तो दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी गलती होगी. तो उन्होंने कहा भाई तुम्हें तो कमर्शियल आर्ट करना चाहिए. उन्हें कमर्शियल आर्ट कर लेंगे. उन्होंने मुझे कहा होता कि आर्किटेक्चर कर ले, तो मैं आर्किटेक्चर कर लेता था. ऐसे था.
Then when you got started, then what was your journey like?
So then I did commercial art. I got into after 2 years of fine art, I got into commercial art.
Okay.
और commercial art में थे तो हमारे जो head first year के मेरे जो teacher थे in fine art, his name was Professor Kamli, and he was very fond of my work. He found my home and he came home to convince my family that Kisalay has disciplines of a fine artist.
Okay.
He will sail through in commercial art, but he's not
I just wanted to understand. Can you also say about what's the difference between fine arts and commercial arts?
So it was his tempera. He has seen the people. So you, as a sportsman, if someone is running, you will make out from the body language and run that this guy is a gifted runner. Similarly, they get to know from the temperament of the person, an artist, and now I get to know that ये बंदा फाइन आर्ट का है, ये बंदा कमर्शियल आर्ट का है. उनके स्ट्रोक्स कैसे रहते हैं, उनके पैचेस कैसे रहते हैं, हाउ फ्री देयर वर्क इज, हाउ the color choices they do, that all that decides that the guy's temperament is of creating design or controlled work, or is continuously trying to break something. And that kind of, you look at the work and temperament and the kind of clothes they wear, and as you first mentioned, and kind of behavioral patterns they have, that kind of gives a hint that fine art ka banda hai. The one who is not bothered about the environment, and not bothered about the environment in case of art also. The other one probably is more responsible towards what they do with their work on the paper, on the white surface.
Commercial arts, you mean?
Commercial art. So maybe this is one of the elements. I mean, I can talk plethora and volume on that, but these are the certain pointers that I'm sharing with you.
Okay.
And having said so he came home and he tried to explain that I'm Kisalay. And while he going back home, I mean, of course, my brothers were adamant and family, and they said that, look, if Kisalay has it in him, he'll get into fine art. But it was their job, being the ninth from a middle-class family, that it was their job to see to it that I get my dal roti, I get my bread. Okay, butter, forget about it. So at least they will make sure, being the ninth in the family, that at least in advertising, they, as far as they know, that I would get a job. I would get something for sure to serve in. And then if I have it in me, then I'll grow into whichever field that I'll grow into. Okay. There was a strong belief. Not that they tried to sabotage my talent or told me you got to do that. Not at all. They said that you go ahead and do what you like to do. In fact, when I quit my first job, they celebrated. So
that was a commercial arts job which you quit.
Yeah, that was after the college. But I heard my professor walking out of the house telling my brothers that you remember, you will see this boy only in fine art as he grows old. Can you imagine the kind of experience they had? And that's what happened. Then I got into fine art, and I'm just revisiting the question you asked about how the insecurities and fears and all. and that my journey was other way around, and I just evolved, and I kept running and falling and getting up, and I didn't know what I was doing.
अब धुनी थे बहुत. You were into it. You were really dhuni. Yeah.
I was into it. Yeah, I was into it totally, and I had no complaints. And whatever happened, and ups and downs, and my family may have a ballpark understanding of it. They didn't know the depths of the problem and the currents against the current I must have sailed, and so they never asked. They never told me that you can't take. I mean, I never asked them for financial help ever at all. And from first year of my college, I mean, second, third, fourth year of my college onwards, there were times like in the college we would share 75 paise ka chai, make it half up with a friend of mine, or when the college gets over, leftover papers which were bent and had dent and probably other students will throw away, and the peon would wipe it off. I'll collect all of them so I can do my practice and draw on that, because papers were expensive. Or they would leave poster colors we used to get, which is called gouache, and they would leave because thoda color bacha tha. I would collect those also. I'd not let the peon throw away and use it. But all this family wouldn't know, and they don't need to know, because it's not that they told me that I can't buy stuff. It's not that. But I knew I'm the ninth one, and so then got into commercial art, and I went through commercial art. Enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. It's not that I have regrets. And after that, I joined an agency called Lintas immediately before my even exam. And I was with Lintas for 1.5 years, 1 year, 3 months. In 1 year, 3 months, I started realizing that I'm doing something that is not entirely, my heart and mind wasn't aligned. I was doing well. I enjoyed the environment. I enjoyed working in advertising, because simultaneously, I did realize that creativity is not about a particular subject or a particular technique or a medium. It's about an empty space, and whatever medium is given to you, you use that to communicate what you need to communicate. So for an interior designer, it would be wood and metal and steel, and his tools would be kadiyas and carpenters and masons and electricians and all these people. Those are tools, and the medium is the medium that I just suggested, and he has to create something that communicates an idea or a story. For a filmmaker, we have these brilliant friends here right now shooting us. For them, it's this frame that they'll have to use all the medium and materials and tools to create an interesting visual experience. Similarly, in art, we have paint and brushes. So my barriers were broken through my phase of introspection with Lintas. Then now I was free, and I was ready to take up any medium and material to create what I wanted to create.
So what was your most, like, आज तक आपका सबसे ज़्यादा interesting medium कौन सा है जिससे आपने work किया?
Every medium, honestly speaking, has been extremely engaging, and my last I've used rusted paint can lids.
Acha.
To communicate the idea of second chance.
Okay.
To revisit something which is almost redundant, and all its life it was used and remembered only for a function. That to shut the can and open the can. And when I looked at it, I was going through this idea that how human mind we all have uncanny ability to let beauty disappear from anything and everything we once attach a function to. Then the function takes precedence, and the beauty disappears, even if it's a relationship or an empty house that we buy or a window that we have. Once it's a functional piece, then almost we need more things on it, and it just goes away. Imagine buying the first house, an empty house you walk into with walls and everything, you walk around, and there's so much sense of pride, and all of a sudden those walls become functional barriers to divide your functionalities, and we almost don't revisit those walls ever like we did when we bought the house. Similarly, in a relationship, right? How do I express this? In the paint can lid was lying, I opened the can and oh my God, I don't even think of this. When the container is all we think of, but imagine obviously it's a strong function, because if you leave it open, the entire container is a waste. But it's such an important thing, we just use it for function and leave it. I said, no, Baba, I'm going to use you on my canvas, but so I got a lot of rusted leads and I collected leads and paint can leads, and I used it on my canvases to express this idea. And obviously, I'm not investing right now a lot of time in narrating that there were multiple aspects then they put together, because when I was working with it, it gave me a lot of tentacles came out of my thoughts. And that, it can, oh my God, this idea also connects here and that idea also connects here. And there is so much happens around it. So one can approach most of my pieces with multiple perspective and revisit it from different perspective. And I don't conclude my work very strongly. It's not unidirectional. So yeah, that's what happened.
And what are the dynamics of art and such phenomena?
See, art is a universal language. Art is one can communicate with art, with their innermost feelings, and there is a term called improjection. That is, what we have within, we see outside. So art has this power to be the sounding board, to be the that object where people improject their emotions. So when they improject their emotions, what they see is their own story. Because it's not asking you to see the art specifically only. So everyone connects with it across the globe. So when they connect with it, it kind of creates a bond. And it becomes sense of familiarity. And when that happens, it becomes their identity of that spot. That how do you address an identity? What's the identity of a place? Buildings? Functional buildings, I mean? I'm not talking about gaudy architecture. Brilliant. I'm saying functional building. How do you create a character around it? You create a character with a piece of art that people connect to. And in today's day and age, is selfie. There are people who take selfie with that piece of art. I had done this heel project across, it was taken up by a lot of artists and it was implemented across the country. And people saw a tree with a gauze band tied up with a bloodstain in Bangalore, in Delhi, in Chennai, in Mumbai, and all these city, Roorkee, Rishikesh, and they all were discussing on social media. I saw it this year also, or I saw that, and there's the bond the entire country created by a piece of art. So even kidney bean, it's something that people would look at, and they would look at, and they would connect with it, and they would see the reflection in it, and they would want to go home with that. I mean, look at globally. How do you know? What do you know about New York and US? Statue of Liberty. Eiffel Towers. What is this? This was an expression of binds the country. It symbolizes the country.
Piece of art. Yeah.
It's something that it's a piece of art. It's always been. What is flag? It's a piece of art. It's an address to the community. Art is an address to the community. Across the globe, you think of places, Burj Khalifa. It's a piece of art.
True.
It's an address to that place.
Yeah. Right. So, you were talking about the Heal project, how beautifully it expresses something rather than just telling about ki yaar ped mat kaato. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
So, talking about the spiritualism part of it, and I always wondered that if I'm an artist and if God has been kind and given me this talent to express an idea, I mean, more than words, and can be part of of universal language, then how am I adding value with that gift? How am I adding value, and how should I add value? And then I started, then I thought in my younger days, and I started doing public art in Mumbai.
Okay.
And I started doing public art, and it got very well appreciated. And in fact, one newspaper made a cover story on it.
Okay.
And then municipal corporation called up the newspaper and said, let this artist know wherever he wants to paint, we will be able to support him and take it further. It was nice. I was young. I was doing with my own fund, and I had little money, pocket money that I would use and paint. But public on the road, everyone was extremely supporting.
I mean, what was that? There was an art piece today?
Properly art. Because I realized the city lacked art. Art is the nurturing energy in any world. That's why in countries, there are countries who support art and artists because there's a nurturing energy, there's this soft energy that make people live better, feel better.
Feel better, yes.
You know, that's what it does. That's the beauty. So it's gentle, that nurturing energy that we don't realize that it's providing to us. That life starts looking better if there is art around,
Right.
music, art, and we grow beyond function. You know.
True. So
And so what happened there, that when I started painting, when I started doing public art, I did a few, and then obviously I was called to other cities also in Delhi and Bangalore, and to talk about public art and how to go about it and how to start, and all that happened. In the meantime, I withdrew from public art because a thought crossed my mind that with visually such a busy city, which a noisy city like Mumbai, where there is, of course, congruent, but there is visual disobedience. Of course, I'm saying congruent because disobedience is not out of any kind of ill feeling. It's because people are simply trying to survive. What not to do with this city was more of an artist's job than what to do with the city. What to withdraw from the city visually became an artist's job. I may see a white wall and go and paint that, but I withdraw myself and I take a drawn perspective. That little breathing space also I'm taking away with a piece of art. And it becomes a huge visual noise. So I said, no, yeah, let me withdraw. And now what do I do? Because I'm not really adding value. What do I do here? I don't want to go there and pick up every wall and start painting because other countries have it. Other countries are visually more obedient. There is a synergy into their spaces and all that. But simultaneously, I know that art adds value, art that nurturing quality, but I didn't want to add colors and texture more into the city. Then I withdrew, and then after some time I realized that I want to do public art. I want to create art for public, for masses, like I used to do it for nightclubs and restaurants, for people to connect. And then a situation happened where I realized that there was a part of Mumbai, they're fighting to save a huge mass of trees. And it was being considered that they might get rid of it and have more construction there. And no one was listening to their voice. I'm not against the construction or development or no development. I just thought on first go, that yaar, ye log ped bacha rahe hain, try kar rahe hain. If I can do something, I'll help. I had no idea for what was the layer, what technique, whether it should be done, not should be done. I said, hey, you guys are trying to save trees. It's such a good idea. I love trees. Okay, let me do something for you guys. And then I created an installation on my general understanding from rainforest to the way rampantly people cut trees for road widening and for everything. There was a tree in front of my house in the middle of the road. It was chopped off. Why? Because there are more vehicles. I've seen a graveyard of like a massacre of trees one day from one road to the another road, and they're all like probably 50, 100 years old tree, and it was so painful though. Then the feeling was a reaction more than a response to, and that, oh, somewhere someone is trying to save trees. So I created an installation for them where I now, I wanted to create installations, so I didn't want to be very narcissistic with my art that only I can understand. I'm talking to public. I need to communicate to a viewer on the road. So I put barks of trees with red cloth on that, and they were not trees, they were fake trees. And like a structure, armature, and I bought some part of dry wood from somewhere and put in front, and put bloodstains on it and called it Murder in the Name of Civilization. And the entire street was happy doing their own thing, and all of a sudden this entirely disturbing view where there's with dead bodies lying there, it just gathered people, it changed their temperament. But you know what? People didn't get disturbed, they got intrigued. And they wanted to know. So religion, ages, color, clothes, they all wanted to know. Kids were stroking the tree, explaining things.
Sweet.
I said, my God, that's the power of art. You know? And those people got the highest amount of eyeballs, and the visual became a mascot of the entire moment, obviously. And then I realized that, if in ever diminishing space, outdoor space in metros, children are, they have no other option but to get into social media. They get into the car or a vehicle, go home, back, then social media. There was 200 years old tree next to their school. They don't even know whether it's got chopped up or it's even there. How to drive attention to those kids, to those trees? What to do? Because simultaneously I realized that the pain for most of the human being on a very innocent level, if it doesn't come from human face, from human expression, they don't understand pain. If it's an animal or a tree, when it's chopped off, hacked, the pain is not coming from human expression. They are rogered, butchered, crushed. Animals are crushed, buried, burnt, boiled alive. But if it was a human baby, how would it look?
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and people don't relate to that in their act, and out of pure innocence, there is no dirty ignorance here. I say, how do I bring their attention? Then I realized by creating human expressions around trees, okay, so that their attention is brought to the damaged environment. And I came up with this installation and idea of using chopped barks of trees on the road and put gauze bands around it with little stain, but very well done. It has to be done by an artist. So it is, because the artist knows that what it should look like, how much stain of blood should be visible. So I was using negative, positive feeling. So the gauze band is a concept of healing something.
Got it.
But the pain of being chopped off and driving attention towards that was to show the pain. So it was a combination that I was expressing. So I was creating visual tension and therefore emotional tension to grab attention, to drive attention of onlooker. And I was part of I was curating Pune Young Biennale, and with Zen Vartan, we both were co-curating it, we were co-directing it, and there I spoke to all these young artists about the tree and the idea, and that if tree is going to be chopped up in the next, just around the corner, one would never feel what's happening. We only feel where our shade goes. How to create a global awareness, and even if we can change few minds, I'm happy. I'm adding my value. And they lapped it up, and I trained them, and they all went across the country in the respected cities and native places, and they started tying gauze bands around the trees. And I was connected, and we made a large group.
National movement.
Huh?
You built a national movement?
Yeah, national movement. And I funded them with my little money.
Oh, that's
all of them across the country. Very little money. And then it became huge. It must have been written about, multiple times in newspapers across the country. Media caught it, TV caught it, And I told, so everyone is looking for a visual impact. That's the power of visual.
Right.
And then it was taken to Dubai, Doha, Muscat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and now we're talking about some people are talking to me about Hyde Park, Central Park, to eventually implement the project. Okay. And there's the power. So it's like magnet. So when I started, I heard voices, kuch nahi hoga, aise hi rehne wala hai. But then it is like a huge force is dragging everyone together like magnet. Oh my God, the change is really happening. So that's the power of visual. That's the power of art.
So as an artist, for you, what has been the most impactful thing, art piece which you might have seen? And what's the impact which it brought?
For different purpose, there are different art pieces that have been extremely impactful for me. Vishwaswarup, the Bhagavad Gita, the darshan of Krishna, is an extremely potent, powerful visualization of philosophical understanding of who we are in this cosmic space, and it's so scientific. and so forth, so on and so forth. So it's an extremely powerful and potent visual that gives me goosebumps if I understand what it means. And I did a series on Vishwaswarup on that in my starting career with mainstream fine art when I actually moved into it and glided into it. And so that's an extremely powerful visual. A lot of visuals from Indian history have been extremely impactful and have had an impact on my journey in art. Similarly, when I speak about the historical changes that has happened, I mean, in that I remember a visual where a photographer, he's an artist, and his tool, his brush is his canvas, and he shot a picture of a dead baby floated away on a seashore, a Syrian refugee baby, a little baby. When I'm talking to you about it also, I'm feeling weird in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And that picture shook the entire world and drew attention. In the sense that everyone knew trees are getting hacked, but driving attention with that kind of pain and impact that happened with the Heal Project, that is what I mean. That on a larger scale, that picture brought that attention of the world, that what's happening, that oh my God, that's the power. It was a documentation of what really happened, but it was artist's perspective. If I may revisit, the first thing we spoke about, that art is the way you look at things. Okay, and he put this across to the world, and the whole world was shaken up.
I mean, when you look at war, you think of it, ki okay, log mar rahe, but like okay, mar rahe. And then you see a baby, I mean, right there in front of you like this, then you feel it. And I guess that's the artist's job to make you feel things.
Yes.
Interesting.
There is a line, and very well said. I mean, what you said is such a beautiful example, but in Sanskrit there is a line called Yuddhasya Katha Ramya. The story of war is always pleasure to hear. So it shows the disconnect of you actually being there where people are getting chopped off and lives are getting destroyed and homes are getting burned. And, it's actually, and all of us have popcorn and we see Cinder's List, we see movies where there are war. But an artist can bring that pain and communicate that pain without words. Art is when words get over and the visuals start, the emotion starts, and how to express an emotion. So emotion of that refugee situation, the real emotion, what must be going through, that photographer managed to inject and penetrate into every heart in this world.
It filled the disconnect.
And that's and created a connect.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that's the connect. Even in Happy Time is Kidney Bean, the legendary artist, Anish Kapoor, his Kidney Bean, and all these masterpieces that we spoke about has created Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. These are all the symbols is going to create community.
Yeah.
The Loh Purush. And these things are going to, as an artist I'm saying, I'm not talking about socio-political human, they create a situation, where we all relate to, because we believe in a visual.
Okay, but good. I mean, Kisalay, even till now, the kind of perspectives I've gotten on art has been pretty interesting. And one thing, if you would want to suggest to budding artists who want to say, make it big in the industry, what would it be?
So the external frame of reference that generally I get to hear from, well, it's a very deep question, because as children, when they start painting or anything else which children start doing, and then parents and family start collecting what they do, and children are always in now. So when they paint, they put the paint here, they are in now. It's an event. They're not going towards an end. The unlearning of what we know as art, that nowness is the most important aspect of main art. It's a practice. Unlearning is a hardwired understanding of everything has to go. So that nowness is important. So when nowness starts is when the art becomes extremely soulful. And that eventually results into striking that chord with people, because everyone has got an understanding of external frame of reference, validation, success. All these are external frame of references. That बहुत बड़ा होना है, नाम कमाना है, famous होना है, गैलरी में पेंटिंग लगेंगे, तालियां बजेगी. Art, these are all variables. Artists can only paint or create. So when he 100% focuses on that, because the rest of the world focuses on the other part that I mentioned. So it's difficult for them to try strike a chord, because when you focus on other, we generally tend to mimic of what we know is success. So then we color our work and the swachhanda dance, the nritya that you're doing for myself, that part gets slightly colored and corrupted and changed. So nowness is important.
Wow.
So nowness is where the artist should be. As a child starts painting, and anything child starts doing, very innocently, I would underline that parents collect it and all that. And child is so much in nowness, is not trying to complete the painting. I'm saying a really young child. And one uncle will come home like an artist like me, and parents will very eagerly tell the child that so-and-so also paints, uncle ko painting dikhao. And the child very reluctantly brings, he doesn't even know what painting in a pile of paper, or parents or mom and dad will come and leave it on the table, and I would go through that. And what am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to say, Sabash bete, very good, it's great, wonderful, yeah. The funny part is, deeply, psychologically, that day onwards, child starts painting for that validation. Then one day again uncle will come and I'll take that. Now, the spillage of that validation comes in every part of life. Whether you're a doctor, engineer, that और किसी के validation के लिए करना है. So the nowness, and from that time till you start painting and understanding what this whole idea of painting is, being so much like a child, okay, so this is what being childlike means. So you are childish and they start learning all the craft and come to the point where I learn almost, I think that and then I start unlearning, and now I come very close to childish, but now I'm childlike. That unlearning. And that point that I mentioned about the child, I go there and then an unlearning start. So it's extremely important to have a mentor of that nature who continuously reminds a painter to be there, And even people are not aware of this kind of situation in time. They may see that mentor as, I want to do a show. I mean, why are you asking me to paint like a child? I want to do this. I know a form. I know this kind of form I want to paint. And you ask me to throw paint. So the mentor has to have patience and understanding that conversation will may be seen with doubt. Okay, and slowly embed the idea on subliminal level or, on a cellular level in an artist, that why artist is doing what artist is doing eventually. How the centering is that beautiful. How the childlike space is beautiful. And what it means. And then, then the artist is individual, because it's unaffected with external frame of reference.
That's beautiful. And not just for a budding artist, but I feel for every field, yeah.
Every field.
Yeah, being like unlearning and being in the now.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So thank you so much, Kisalay. It was amazing experience talking to you.
Such a pleasure. I got to say something. When you finish with all that, I need one of these with your sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Basha.
Yeah, because I'm going to cherish that.
That's so sweet of you. Really humbled by that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Nitish Jain Show. I love it.